So in the aftermath of Donald Trump getting attacked again, or somebody trying to attack Donald Trump again, the White House press secretary still calls Donald Trump a threat to democracy. Now, Donald Trump, in my mind, is no threat to democracy. He is no different than any other politician coveting the seat of the White House. He's no different than anyone currently serving in the U.S. Senate and House. He's no different than any governors or state legislator or anybody else. He's like any other politician. But somehow, he is this big threat to democracy. But look, folks, your democracy was sold a long time ago. You do not have, and never will you have a democracy. So here's from the so fantastic White House press secretary. Let's find out what she has to say, because there's a little bit of a follow-up story too about an American nurse named Chelsea Walsh, who says she had alerted the DHS about the would-be Trump assassin, Ryan Ruth. So first, let's hear from the White House press secretary.
2 days since somebody allegedly tried to kill Donald Trump again. And you're here at the podium in the White House briefing room calling him a threat. How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump other than threat?
Peter, if anything from this administration, I actually completely disagree with the premise of your question. The question. Don't care. It is also incredibly dangerous in the way that you're asking it, because American people are watching. And to say that from an administration who has consistently condemned political violence, from an administration where the president called the former president and was grateful that he was okay, from an administration who has called out January 6th, called out the attack of Paul Pelosi, called out and said we need to lower the temperature after the Butler incident. And now for you to make that kind of comment in your question, because your question involved a comment and a statement. And, it is, that is also incredibly dangerous.
Folks, before you chime in, this is breaking news and is very apropos to what's going on, because a good friend of the show, Roger Meadows, just messaged me this as well. So breaking news, folks. Cops confirm no threat to Donald Trump's rally following a report of explosives found in car. Well, first of all, yes, September 18th. Today is September 18th. Unless I'm somehow, living in some sort of weird time warp. Today is the 18th. This is from, again, the Daily Mail, but also I want to pull up. This is it's also can be confirmed from Newsweek as well. Suspicious occurrence near Donald Trump New York rally. What we know. This is what it says here, and I will also look at the Daily Mail article as well. The Nassau Police Department. Thank you. Police Department confirmed to Newsweek Wednesday morning that its force responded to a suspicious occurrence near the location of former President Donald Trump's rally site tonight in Long Island. I apologize for not pronouncing it correctly. Hey, folks, a presidential candidate's under threat again. What could go wrong? We did respond to a suspicious occurrence in the vicinity of the Nassau Coliseum. However, there was no validity of an explosive device being found. I
wonder if it's a pager.
Yes. A public information officer told Newsweek after the report about an explosive device at a rally circulated online. So first of all, people are saying there's no validity to a report, but another supposed threat is happening to a presidential candidate.
Well, somebody called something in and said that they thought there was something and there wasn't.
Yes. Exactly.
I don't know what that is yet.
But still, the latest report of the Trump security breach comes just 3 days after a would-be assassin was arrested after stalking the former president with a rifle as he golfed at his Palm Beach golf club. Police working in conjunction with Secret Service remain on high alert in the area hours before the former president is set to take stage. look, I could have my difference of opinion with Donald Trump. I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody at any of his rallies. But unfortunately, what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, a firefighter, did lose his life, and 2 people did get injured because of a disturbed individual trying to take out Donald Trump with a dime store version of an AR-15. Now we have this guy, Ryan Ruth, who's also heavily disturbed, even sending a news reporter a mixtape. Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah. Apparently, we talked about it on yesterday's show. Ryan Roos tried to shoot his shot at a CBS news reporter in London, and he sent her a mixtape. Anyways, we live in crazy times here, folks. But again, sources in the Nassau County Police Department allegedly told journalist James Leno earlier Wednesday that the rally site perimeter was breached by Blue Barrel, but it was removed. So, okay, great. In addition, during the canine sweep, they apparently found an explosive device in one of the vehicles. The source allegedly said the driver ended up running in the woods.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh.
Running in the woods. No one saw if he had anything on him. They just saw him take off running. A lot of cars are now parking. They're lining up in Hempstead Turnpike, just parking on the grass, even at the Eisenhower Park. They're just parking over there, the source went on to tell Leno, according to a post on X. Thousands of MAGA fans are expected to descend upon Long Island this afternoon ahead of the 7 p.m. Eastern time rally at the Nassau Coliseum. A large crowd was already assembled, and many camped out overnight to get good seats in the indoor arena. I really hope nothing bad happens tonight. Would it be a bridge too far if, maybe everything just didn't go to shite? Indy, your thoughts about this bombshell, no pun intended, report that's just been developing?
Well, I think that this is also an act of terror designed potentially to scare away Trump supporters from going to support him at his rallies. I don't know how to, this was a threat. And then it turned, now I guess reading there that they inspected somewhere and found a trunk somewhere that had some kind of an explosive device. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it was intended for anything. There's a lot. Look, you have to read between the lines in what corporate media writes, because they're trying to fearmonger you, even with stuff that's unimportant, that has nothing to do with what you're talking about. They're just looking to get you scared of stuff, because getting you scared gets you to listen, and getting you to listen gets you in line. And that's what they need to do. Yes, or either that, have you follow orders and not question anything. But hey, look, the White House is still calling Trump a threat. We've been covering elections for quite some time, you and I, Indy, and a lot of our colleagues in independent media have been covering, the various election cycles. But even before all of us got started, I never once heard any other presidential administration call their opponent a threat. A threat. You know what that's going to do? That's going to give more fuel for disturbed individuals who have Trump derangement syndrome. I seem to recall Obama calling Trump a threat to democracy plenty in the 2016 cycle. I seem to recall a lot of the Republicans, a lot of the Democrats demonizing Trump even after 4 years, saying that if he's reelected, he's going to end democracy. Remember, we heard that in 2020. All right. We're hearing it again. It's the same nonsense. Look, we survived Trump. We will survive Trump. It's really, look, we're not getting out of here. Harris is no better, and they are subverting democracy in the name of democracy right now. I mean, that's the funny thing, is that she's getting up there calling Trump a threat to democracy when Trump was elected by the Republican base to be the nominee. Corinne Jean-Pierre can't say that about the Democratic nominee right now. But that's democracy? Selected by the donors? Okay. Speaking of our own government, I did mention that there was a nurse that did give a heads up to Department of Homeland Security, DHS, about Ryan Ruth. Because, again, before we got interrupted by that bombshell of a story, please don't let anything bad happen in Long Island, please. Lebanon. Or anywhere else. I mean, well, it's already happening in Lebanon, Indy. That's already going on there. So, I mean, that's
That's already happening, but hopefully nothing happens here in the good old USA. But all right, hey, there's this story as well that's developing, and I want to share it with all of you lovely, beautiful people. Yes, it's on Fox News, but we'll share it with all of you.
Chelsea Walsh is the nurse who flagged Ruth to the feds after meeting him in Ukraine. And she joins us now. Chelsea, what about Ruth struck you?
He had very bizarre and volatile tendencies. As a nurse, I'm a mandated reporter, and we are also trained to determine when someone is a threat to themselves or others. I determined after knowing Ryan for a while that he was a threat to others. So I felt that it was necessary that he be reported to the proper authorities.
And you reported this to the federal government. And what happened next?
I haven't heard anything. I have had no correspondence. Nobody had tried to connect with me until today.
Okay.
They only tried to reach out to her until it was done. After it all happened.
What was she doing in Ukraine exactly?
Good question.
I know she's a nurse, but who sent her there? Who was she working for? What was she? I don't believe any of this nonsense. Maybe some of it's true. A lot of it's spin. A lot of it is kind of meshed truth with somebody else's opinion, story, and their political agenda. So, you just have to take all this stuff with a grain of salt. Honestly, that's kind of how I see all this, especially corporate media.
We're literally in an episode of Black Mirror, The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits. And listen, as someone who's been an avid fan of all three of those shows, they always end on a grim, dark note.
From which agency specifically connected with you now?
A agency has connected with me. I don't want to say which one, but someone has connected with me.
Okay. In your conversations and observations of Ruth, what were the things that he was saying he was operating in?
Ryan got involved with the humanitarian side as well as the military side. He got involved with things that he shouldn't have been involved with. He was able to con members in the Ukrainian military. He was able to con charities. He was a good con artist. He was calculated, but he was also very volatile and sporadic. He got into just about everything: drones, weapons, humanitarian aid. He got involved in things he shouldn't have been involved with because he didn't have a background in any of this.
How was he able to con the Ukrainian military?
Well, listen, in a country that's known to be very corrupt even before the war started, it wouldn't surprise me if he was able to con out some people, because there's nothing but corruption, nothing but unchecked. Folks, when you have time, look up on Google and check out the mansions that are owned by the high echelon leadership of the Ukrainian government. They got some mansions in Spain, Italy, Portugal, all over. Very, very, very swanky mansions too, by the way. No, nobody look into that. Indy, don't look into that.
Don't look into Jesse Waters' mansions either, by the way.
Precisely.
That you'll have to ask him.
Okay.
Well, that was an awkward silence right there. Listen to that. Did you hear that?
Yes. Okay.
Hold on. Wait.
That
Just
you'll
also
have to
note
ask
that
him.
Okay, right here. We're gonna count it.
if this were a person of color,
Mhm.
do you think that he would have been treated as politely as this alleged? The other thing is that this guy just,
he wouldn't. He would
All right.
not be. Come
my
on, man.
other thing is that this almost they couldn't write a script with somebody this comic book clownish. Although my feeling is that this is a guy who read Tom Clancy and thought that he was Jack Ryan and that it was his responsibility to save the country by going to Ukraine and doing his duty.
God damn,
Right.
I hated
Right? That's
that show
kind of
on
the way I
Amazon,
see
man.
it. He cited like hanging out and working with Malcolm Nance. Malcolm Nance, like, this guy's crazy. I don't know anything about this guy. I don't believe Malcolm Nance either. He's a clown and a propagandist too. And he worked with CIA. This guy worked with CIA allegedly. I think that, yeah, there's a lot of intel community's fingerprints all over this, and now what they like to call plausible deniability, where if you get caught, if you do something, you're on your own, pal. Like they say this in the movies all the time.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. Let's actually listen to this awkward silent here. Hold on, check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
All right. I think it's like 6
Okay.
seconds.
And tell me about your meeting with him when you said you felt he was a danger. Did you feel like you were in danger?
Yes, it got to a point where I ended up leaving Ukraine early on my first visit there because
What were you doing there?
of Ryan. And I felt that I was in danger after a conversation that I had with him that I don't really want to go into right now. But he was one of the reasons I left Ukraine, because I felt that I was in jeopardy by staying there and he was around.
Did he ever talk about assassinations?
All the time. He wanted to kill most world leaders. I don't remember. It's been over 2 years since I was with him, but I definitely remember he always talked about wanting to kill Putin, Kim Jong-un. He developed plans. He talked about
Oh man, if he tried that BS in North Korea, he would never see the light of day ever again.
Biden and Trump, but I can't remember. It's been over 2 years since I heard those conversations. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he did speak frequently about harming world leaders.
All right. Well, we're glad that you reported this, and we're glad finally there's been some follow-up. Chelsea, thank you so much. You're a very brave nurse.
Why are we sending nurses there to the front lines?
Hell if I know. Hell if I know. But I will say this to all everyone that's watching this. Look, I am very, very concerned about these attempts against Donald Trump. Something isn't adding up. And if you have a suspicious mind right now, I would suggest everyone right now to question every single freaking thing that you see and hear on social media. And to everybody that's watching this, look, you can have a differing of opinion with a person, but it's unfortunate that our media and political system created an environment in which people have lost their ability to think critically. And it says a lot also about our healthcare system, where we lack mental health care. You have individuals who have these dreams of grandeur. And now, look, I like to joke like, oh, yeah, sure. You know, we're going to build this. We're going to do this. But look, bound to reality, it's, you know, you got to come down to earth. And unfortunately, there's so many people out there that are projecting themselves with main character energy, when all reality, I mean, they're just as average as anybody else. But yet you have this one person that could go that extra mile and maybe put themselves in the history books by trying to save democracy by taking out this candidate or that candidate. And look, all what this is going to do, especially to the diehard liberals, because I've been seeing people post on social media, especially after the incident took place in Butler, Pennsylvania in July. You know, you had people saying, oh, I wish that bullet landed. I wish that bullet really did hit. Well, that bullet did land, and it took the life of a firefighter. He had a family. There were a couple other rounds that hurt 2 other people as well. Now, Donald Trump, you know, he didn't die, and I'm so happy he's okay. But for everybody that's hyped up for a conflict or to see somebody get hurt, what is wrong with you? You know, as soon as you enact that first shot, as soon as you enact that act of violence, you better expect retaliation. And we're better than this. Indy, your thoughts, my friend?
Look, Mexico just went through a very violent political season, which ended up in Claudia Sheinbaum being their president, who was an AMLO kind of disciple. But there were a lot of presidential candidates that were literally killed in Mexico. You know, we take for granted a lot in this country about the safety of our candidates, about the fact that about the civility of our citizenry that may not necessarily be warranted anymore. They have been pushing people for the last 4 years to the brink of desperation, to the point by propagandizing people with narratives against ex-presidents that they called literal Hitler, Putin, who they call literal Hitler, Xi, who they're demonizing him about the way what China's doing, and now they're talking about putting even more tariffs on what China's. They are trying to create these boogeymen, these others, these enemies, so that they can then rally their troops and get money and build an economy, a war-like economy, which is basically what we have around fighting that common enemy. And they have to define who the enemy is. And right now they are deciding that they want the enemy to be Russia, China, Iran, and BRICS is really the problem. And I was actually watching, Lee Camp had Richard Wolff on recently, and there was a great 15-minute segment where Richard Wolff is talking about Chinese cars and the tariffs that are being put in. And the people who end up paying these tariffs and paying for these tariffs are us. We don't get the superior goods at a lower price. We end up paying a higher price for inferior or similar type of goods because we won't bring in, and we put such high tariffs on stuff that doesn't cost everyone else in the world what it costs us.
Exactly. And unfortunately, we are stuck in a world and in an environment that just has been continuing us on. And the thing is, when you create an environment of desperation and despair, you are going to get very unhinged people who are going to be reacting to an irrational environment. And because of our corporate media and the 24/7 news cycle, you have social media as well, confirmation bias, you're going to get people who are just going to be stuck in their ways. And look, to my viewing audience, and to everybody that's watching this show, I expect all of you not only to be better informed, but to check out other sources and information, to have yourselves not only well-rounded, but here's your challenge. And each of you have to figure it out in your own way. Talk to somebody. Talk to a person that you might have a differing opinion of. Try and reach out to your neighbors and your friends and your family members. I'm not expecting everything to go hunky-dory and be all roses and sunshine, but everyone is stuck in their safe space bubbles, and we have to fix this system up. We have to fix the discourse in this system. And look, political violence is never the answer. I don't want anything bad to happen to Trump. I don't want anything bad to happen to Kamala. I don't want anything bad to happen to Dr. Jill Stein or Chase Oliver or Cornel West. And I don't want anybody at any of their rallies to get hurt. Yes, I even said Dr. Cornel West's mediocre rallies. I don't want anybody to get hurt at those rallies either.
He's having rallies still?
Yeah, it's occasionally. Again, look, I'm just using it as an example. Okay, bear with me. There's probably like 2 people who still show up, but only those lame enough show up. But guess what? I don't want anybody to get hurt. And unfortunately, as we get closer and closer to election night, I'm really starting to get afraid of, well, who's going to take it up to the next level? Who's going to pull it all the way up to 11? And I just don't want that to be the case. Please be safe out there, folks. And let's try and be better. I said try. Let's try. Let's just try.